Hello. Well, here we are. It's 3 weeks from when I first recorded or hit record to share about my plan to create 90 days worth of content in just a month. And we did it. Okay, I try to keep it really simple. My whole family's still asleep, so I typically get up to do my workout, take care of the dog, who you can hear walking around now, take a really quick shower, sometimes I wash my hair, sometimes I don't, and make myself feel good. I very rarely wear makeup, but when I'm filming, I typically just put it on because it feels better and looks better in video. So then I make my morning smoothie, which you can join me for now. Everyone always asks me what's in it. It's been the same for 3 years now. And I'll take the dog for a walk and then we'll be in the office. All right, let's do it. Alrighty, here we are. Beginning of the week. I'm kicking off July right now. As I mentioned previously, this month is focused on batching content for 90 days. I typically plan 90 days in advance, and if you watch last week's episode, you'll actually see how I come up with my content ideas and my whole entire workflow for planning out my content strategy. But something that I have not done previously is actually create the content 90 days in advance. This year, 2021, we have gotten into a rhythm of being 30 days ahead. Now, at the beginning of the year, that was easier, I would say, because we were only focused on YouTube. So we were following my repurposing plan, which you can watch in this video right here, where we were taking one core piece of content and repurposing it to go up on the blog and Pinterest and on social media and through my email list. Then in June, well, before June, I decided that I wanted to launch the Brandmerry podcast. And in June, we officially put that out into the world. All we did was repeat our workflow. So now we have 2 pieces of core content that then go up on the blog and so on and so forth. Again, all of that will make more sense if you watch my repurposing video for step-by-step of that entire process. As we started to get really good at the 30 days, not only did I want to challenge myself a bit and see if we could create more content in 30 days, but I also wanted to see what it would be like to have 90 days of content completely planned from my end. Now, I do have a team, and that feels amazing at this stage of my business. I've got Delana, who's the operations manager. My husband is the multimedia manager, so he does all my video editing and my podcast editing. And we just brought on a brand new graphic designer that supports us in repurposing the content to go out on Instagram and other social media platforms. So I'm not doing it all myself, but this month, July, is focused on me creating 90 days of content, which is 2 pieces of content every single week. That's a lot of content. And one of the reasons I'm doing that is because I want to see, is this something that I want to adapt? It's something I've always thought about, work really, really hard for 30 days, take 90 days to kind of chill. But we're also preparing to go to Greece for 3 months. So you're basically going to come along with me to see, can I do it? Can I create all of the content before we leave on a plane? We shall see. So the game plan this week is to focus on podcasting. Now we've got podcasts and videos, as I mentioned previously, but after talking with my husband and kind of, talking about focus and batching things, we know that podcast editing is a lot easier. It's also really easy for me to record because I can kind of slip away for 40 minutes, record an episode, don't need to do anything fancy, come back, take a call, do whatever I need to do. Very different than recording video where you got the whole setup and the script and the whole shebang. So this week we're focused on getting all of the podcast episodes recorded. So I'm gonna look at my spreadsheet here, which I'm about to give you a sneak peek. Again, watch this video here from last week. That's gonna give you a complete walkthrough of how I prepare for the actual recording of the podcast and of the videos, because there's so much prep work that goes in before you actually hit record. And if you can do all that prep work ahead of time in like chunks, it's gonna make the whole process that much easier. Looking at my content spreadsheet for podcasting specifically, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 episodes. 16 episodes. Now, not all of those are me in the closet recording from beginning to end. About 50% of those are fresh, new pieces of content. We've got 2 that are repurposed pieces of content from that I've previously recorded through a training, through an interview. And then we've got 3 more pieces of content that are going to be repurposed live videos. So I'll be doing 3 live videos throughout the month of June that I will then repurpose for the podcast. Oh, I'm sorry, not 14. 18 episodes. First up, we are recording the first 3. So I've got full episode, intro, and intro because they're both repurposed pieces. So let's get into it. That's it. I'm gonna show you my computer screen so you can see what I've prepped before this. Make sure after this video you actually go back and watch how to plan out 90 days of content. Let's take a look at my screen and we'll just get into it. Okay, so we're taking a look at my screen. I want to share with you just a little bit of the prep work. Again, I can't stress this enough. Make sure you go back and if you're really thinking about planning out 90 days of content, make sure you go back and watch that video where I walk you through the process of actually coming up with content ideas and mapping it out completely. But this is what I'm working off of. So before I even start recording any of the podcast episodes, which is the focus this week, before I dive into any of the video content that we'll be focusing on next week, I need to have a clear strategy and plan in place. And so where I typically start is right here in this content research spreadsheet. This is kind of my hub. My team does have access to it, but it's where I sort out all my ideas, figure out some things, where I plan out my SEO strategy, where I make sure everything makes sense in terms of dates. So this one specifically is the podcast and blog. You'll see we've got like the dates of different things. Some of them are repurposed live. Some of them are repurposed videos. I also have a section over here where I can list out the CTA if it's something different than my normal call to action, search volume, SEO title, SEO description, and keywords. This is helpful for the blog. So once Delana gets the podcast recording, she will transcribe the podcast and then she'll prep it for the blog. I'll do one final look over and then she'll go ahead and schedule it. So having all of the SEO done ahead of time is incredibly helpful for her. Now, I have decided, because I'm really focused on getting the recording done quickly, that I'm going to put my energy to recording this week all of the podcasts. And then once I've got them all recorded, go in and update the SEO before Delana actually gets them in their hands. When we're doing every 30 days, I find that it's easier to just say like, okay, I've got these 4, let me write the SEO at the same time. When we were planning out this mini, I decided to kind of switch up my strategy a bit. So we'll see how it goes. Then I've also got the YouTube and blog as well. So you'll see same exact thing. This is more for, my brain. I definitely do more SEO research for YouTube specifically than say the podcast, just right out of the gate. So some of these have already been done. And we're doing some videos that we've already recorded that we will also be repurposing. As you see, we've already posted these blogs. These were live videos that we had done at the beginning of the year. So this is where it all starts. And then what I do is I take it and I add it to ClickUp. So ClickUp is the platform that we use to organize our task management. It's where we communicate as a team. And there's a lot of different views for the workflow. This is the calendar view. So as you can see, 2 pieces of content every single week. Moving forward. And then we've got the board view. And this is where I like to live. So this is where I get to do my idea dump. Once I've decided it's for YouTube or the podcast, once it goes into research and notes, then we can put the date on it. It gets our task list added to it based on if it's a YouTube video or a podcast. And then it goes through the process. So, we're just buzzing through the process here. So when you go into one of these, this one's YouTube specifically, you'll see that we keep everything in one spot. So we've got a link. This is going to be that spreadsheet I just showed you. Once the videos are done, we'll have a link to those here. we go ahead and add in, the YouTube description and all of that. This SEO has not been formatted just yet. And then you'll notice below are my notes for recording. So I've got notes here for recording this particular episode, which by the time the episode you're watching now goes out, this will already have been posted. You can watch that video right here. All about market research. And then we have our workflow and different people who are assigned to each task inside of there. So all of this prep work is so important with figuring out the title, finalizing the title, the date, so I can record them in chronological order, so I can reference, previously posted videos. And so I can map out my notes before I actually go ahead and record, which is amazing. Okay, I'm going to record some podcast episodes and it'll go great. It'll go great. It always goes great. So I'm not going to lie. There's a lot going on, but I feel really confident when I take some time to plan it all out in advance. I really don't know if I would be able to do what I do with the batch recording and batch scheduling and all of that stuff if I didn't have a clear plan. So feeling pretty good. It's the first day. We'll have to check back in a week and see how we feel. So I'm gonna hop into the closet. This is real professional. Okay, that's where I'm gonna record the podcast for today. I'm gonna get the solo episode done and maybe an intro before I have a call with Delana. We chat every Monday about what's happening for the week, and and we'll just see how it goes. Hey, hi. Welcome to another day of podcast recording. Not gonna lie, I'm running but a little bit behind schedule today. Did not want to wake up, but hey, chai tea for the win. So I'm going to be recording anywhere between 4 to 5 podcasts today. Now, some of those are just introductions to previously recorded videos, but I do have a live schedule today as well, which will be repurposed to a podcast. So by the end of today, I should have about 7 podcasts done. Here's hoping. So I wanted to show you my setup real quick because people ask me all the time, like, oh, what are you using? What are you doing? What microphone do you have? You guys, just use something and get started. That is my goal. The lighting is absolutely horrible. So let me show you this setup. I am 100% in my office closet. Yeah, so I've got these 2 beautiful doors that close. Office door that closes. Very fancy over here. So I've got my husband's laptop. He does all of our editing as the multimedia manager. Look at this. I mean, come on. Have you ever seen anything just so beautiful? That's a Yeti Blue mic. I really, really love it. I've been using it for years. I love to sit on the floor when I record, so I just kind of, rigged this. And then I've got my notes on that computer there. And as you can see, just a bunch of shit. But you know what? It works. It is Saturday. I don't know what day it is. It was probably on here somewhere before you saw this section of the video. So it's Saturday, and I got a lot done this week, honestly. I've gotten majority of the podcast done, which was the number one goal. But I think I always have that's the goal, and then there's a bunch of other stuff that I want to get to. And so from the podcast perspective, mostly done. There are 3 more that I need to record. Plans to record those tomorrow on Sunday. And then just for a little bit of reference, I took yesterday off. So yesterday was Friday. It was nicer weather here in St. Louis. It's rainy and crappy now. So I took that day off to swim all day and enjoy because I knew I'd be working on the weekend. So today the intention was actually not about the 90-day content, but I had intended to update and record a webinar that we are going to be offering as a free training on Evergreen, and that just did not go as planned. Now I'm sitting here and I'm outside and I don't want to do anything. So I just thought it was important to show that because I I think it's really easy to be like, these are all the things that we're doing. And this week I was hustling hard. I mean, like, I got all this stuff done, feeling really good, feeling on top of it, feeling completely on schedule. But then there's always that extra stuff that you sprinkle in. I know I do this, and it's not going to happen today. So I'm sitting here thinking about, like, how can I still show up? How can I honor the fact that I'm a little tired, a lot of recording this week, a lot of coaching calls, and just, see what I can do. So one of the projects that we're also working on this month is prepping an ebook that we will be releasing for my audience, available at the time of this, the time you're viewing this. So you can actually grab that in the comments below. And I think that's a good project. So I'm going to lay in bed, work on the ebook in Canva, and watch YouTube videos about Greece. Balance, right? Hello and happy Monday. So let's see, updates. Did not get the 3 podcasts recorded as I had planned, but that's okay. And one of the reasons that I give myself a lot of wiggle room and cushion, always a good idea when planning on batching recording content. I always have intentions when I'm like doing a lot of work, preparing for a big trip. In this case, preparing 90 days of content to explore Greece for 90 days. I always plan to work on the weekends, and it never feels like a big thing to me because I can be really flexible with my schedule throughout the week. I mentioned that I took Friday off to swim and have a good pool day, and then planned on working this weekend, but my motivation was not up there. So let's see, I ended up laying in bed and watching YouTube travel videos, which is my jam, and did a lot of back-end stuff that I needed to do, which felt really good. And I was actually telling my husband on Saturday, that feels good because I really enjoy technology. I think I would have been a killer virtual assistant or online business manager. And I find joy in doing those things in my business, but I also know that I can't always be doing those elements because my zone of genius is best used elsewhere. And that's why I have operations manager on my team. But every once in a while, I like to play around. So I did some behind the scenes tech stuff. And so not content related at all. And then on Sunday, I actually recorded a brand new training, which is available at the time of this release. So you can click below to get your hands on my marketing training, all about learning how to master your marketing without relying on social media. So I actually shocked myself and updated the slides because it's a previous training. So I didn't start from zero. I want to make that clear. Updated my slides on Saturday. That was one of the kind of techie things that I did. And then Sunday, I recorded the webinar, I uploaded it and put the whole entire thing together in Easy Webinar. I mapped out the entire funnel and set up all the automations, updated the landing page, and it's done. That is the fastest that I have ever created a piece of content, an evergreen piece of content, and handled all the tech and all the emails and all of that. I was really fortunate that so much of it was repurposing old emails and things like that, but that's what I did on Sunday, and it felt really good to get that done because it was this would be nice situation to have, and then we got it done. And by we, I mean me. Yesterday, I was maybe I'll save some of this and have, Delana, who's operations manager over here at Brandmerry, have her do some of the pieces. But I just started going and it felt really good. It was really good for my brain. So that's what happened this weekend. So because of all of that, I will be recording the last 3 podcasts today. And then the podcasts are done. So I will be done with all the podcasts through the end of October. And Ben will be done editing them. And then they just go over to the team to transcribe and upload and get all the social media and all that stuff together. So I get to move kind of into just management pieces rather than creation stage for those, which feels amazing. I'm working with my kiddo today, which is kind of fun. So getting his headphones because his tablet is kind of loud and I have a team call right now. Here you go, baby. I can't get it open.
But also,
yeah.
I'm doing a new thing.
Okay.
I'm doing a new thing
That's fine.
Without a check mark.
Okay. Oh, good. Thank you. Okay, will you put your headphones in? You want to say hi?
Hi.
So it's kind of fun for Cal and I. We don't do it very often anymore, but I started my entire business with him working next to me. And that's all that we knew for so long, that sometimes it's fun to have those days again. Challenging, but fun. So my husband is doing some work for my parents at their house, which is totally fun for him and his zone of genius. And I was like, I'll just leave Cal here, it'll be fine. So we'll see if it's actually fine and if I get anything done. But for almost 3 years, it was just Cal and I working side by side, recording content, all of that stuff. He was a baby then, it was different, but now he's got his, iPad. He's doing some homeschool learning on that, which is kind of fun. So I've got a team call, and then I plan on recording those 3 podcast episodes, then finishing the SEO for those, which is basically done. I just like to go in and clean it up before I give it over to the team. Another team call. It's for Brandmerry Academy for our coaches. And I think that's pretty much it for today. Yeah. That should be it. We'll see what happens. Hello and good morning. Today is Tuesday, July 13th. That means yesterday was Monday. Yesterday, I wrapped up podcast recording. Did not get to them over the weekend. Was just feeling a little don't want to do that, which happens quite often. And so I always like to give myself a little bit of wiggle room when I'm planning. One of the reasons I started doing the 90 days worth of content so early in the month, because I know myself enough to know that some days I just don't want to do it, which I think is highly relatable as an entrepreneur. So this weekend I focused my energy on just watching a ton of travel YouTube videos, very productive, and also worked on some behind the scenes stuff for my business, which was awesome because it was just a list of things that felt really good to just check off. Got to do it super leisurely. We're back at it today. Yesterday, I recorded 2 podcast episodes, so I only have 1 left. And I'm waiting on a few different pieces. I am putting together a case study episode for Roadmap to Freedom, which is a group program that I have been hosting since 2017. It's like my baby. It's one of the first things I created. I love it so much. And I wanted to get some more video testimonials. We have a bunch on the sales page at brandmerry.com/freedom. But I want to update it a little bit more. So I'm waiting on a few of those videos to come in, and then I am going to be recording intros, little case studies just about them and their experience in the program and what I remember, and then you'll hear from them. So that's going to be a fun episode. I'm not super stressed about that one, but it's the last one, and I'd love to get it done. So on track, just a few days behind, which is cool. Today we start video recording. Now, full transparency, video recording takes a lot more energy than recording podcasts, because with the podcast we have the computer set up in the closet like I showed you. I've got my microphone in there, and I can just pop in there, record a few episodes. I did 2 between calls yesterday. Done. That's it. Video is just completely different. I try to make the editing as easy as possible for my dear husband, who is the multimedia manager at Brandmerry. And so I don't want to just ramble on and on forever and ever. So I typically, as you saw in my ClickUp in my workflow, I have all the scripts done. So I have planned to do about 3 episodes a day and wrapping up on Saturdays. So we'll see how it goes. Join me as I record the 3 episodes today. is for you if you have found yourself working from home. Maybe it was by choice. Maybe you decided to become an entrepreneur and set out on this great, big, beautiful adventure of working for yourself. Maybe it was not by choice and it happened, I don't know, in the year 2020, in which you found yourself suddenly working from home. Today, I want to talk about how do you remain productive when you work from home in the midst of the chaos, especially if you have children and the distractions and all of the things. I've been doing this for 5 years now, and I have a few things to say. Okay, today is Thursday. Jeez, I really should think about this before I hit record. Today is Thursday. The plan was to record 2 videos this morning, but someone else had plans to mow the lawn. So that ain't gonna happen right now. So we're pivoting a bit, which just tacks on another day, but I am still determined as all hell to get all podcasts and all video recordings done by Sunday. So that would be, I'm looking at the calendar now, so that would be Sunday the 18th. And then that would give us 2 solid weeks of editing, finalizing all the stuff, making sure that Delana has everything that she needs for transcripts. Those are actually already underway. So 2 of the podcasts, maybe 3, have already started the transcription process, and I'm already in the blog finalization process. So almost all of August is almost scheduled for podcasts, which is really exciting. And then videos, and then 2 weeks of editing. So it really sucks when stuff like this happens and I'm like so into my schedule and I'm like, all right, 2 videos and then I'm gonna do this. So I'm just gonna pivot a little bit. Not that I don't have anything to do. I have plenty of things to do. So yeah, that's where we're at. Okay, I wanted to record this video quickly, so I have a busy day today, and I think it's time for a little update. So, the last few days have wiped me out. I think it was a combination of adrenaline, working my butt off, and then a little bit of happy hour, and a little bit of woman time, but I just had to stop. So haven't made a lot of progress in getting the 90 days of content done, which is okay. And like the reason I wanted to just record this video in a very raw setting, my dog snoring next to me, is that I think sometimes we see people who just magically have 90 days worth of content or hit this income bracket or launch this new evergreen funnel and it feels like it just like happens. And that's not true for pretty much every entrepreneur. And it's one of the reasons I wanted to record this as a vlog in the first place, because I wanted to show the process. I wanted to show what happened. And that's what happened. I stopped working. I did literally the bare minimum, which for me is taking care of my clients, answering emails, that's pretty much bare minimum. And now it is Tuesday, July 20th, and I'm getting back into it. So where are we at? Podcasts are complete, minus 1 live stream that I plan on doing that we will repurpose into a podcast, and a special little collab of testimonials that I'm putting together for the upcoming Roadmap to Freedom launch. So those 2 podcasts are the last 2. Everything else is edited and the transcriptions are already started on those. So that feels really good. Honestly, podcast batching, and I think I said this last week, is quite easy. I can just like stand up, walk into the closet, record a podcast, come back, do a coaching call, stand up, go into the closet, record some podcasts, come back, write an email. There's not a lot of setup that goes into it. I just always have it set up, in the closet. So that was done. I'm glad we started with that. So if you're ever batching content, always start with kind of the easiest one to kind of work in your existing schedule. So last week, the intention was to record all of the YouTube videos, and I think we got 3 done, which is okay. So those are done, those are edited, and we are actually reusing some, so sweaty. We are actually reusing some previously recorded videos that we just needed to go and edit. So this weekend, when I realized that, I was gonna lose a few days there, I went back and looked at some videos that hadn't been released yet that we had recorded previously that actually are perfect timing. So Ben edited those and we're all caught up there. So now we've got 6 YouTube videos to edit. The game plan is to record 6 YouTube videos to record. The game plan is to record 1 to 2 today. I have a bonus workshop for our Brandmerry Academy, which I'm doing, and for you, Brandon, for my clients in those programs. So that's going to take up the most of my day. Try and get 1 to 2 done. I've got tomorrow, which is Wednesday, and then Thursday morning, and then we're actually going on like a mini trip with my parents. And then next week is just scheduling, wrapping up editing, and we are on a plane 2 weeks from today. So today I feel good about where we're at. This weekend, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I don't know if it's gonna happen. I'll figure it out. Well, if I have to record a video in Greece, I'll record a video in Greece. But I've always found that like when we start to get a little behind or we're not 100% sure, whatever it is, we get really scrappy with it and we figure it out. So that's the game plan. That's just a little message from me to you. You're gonna derail, stuff's gonna happen. You're gonna have these grand plans. I have them every day of my life, and they're not gonna unfold the way that you intended them to unfold. And that's okay. I read this book, Atomic Habits. It's been like almost 2.5 years now. I recommend it to every single person that I come in contact with, and it completely changed my life. It's one of the reasons I work out every morning. And in the book, they talk about like it's not just enough to have the plan. You also have to know what do you do when the plan doesn't go as planned. That's half the battle. I think that's half the battle with entrepreneurship. So back on track, getting back on. It's okay if you get off course. It's okay if you derail a little bit. It's all about getting back up, get back at it. So we're back at it, ready to rock and roll. All right, we're making progress. I will say, big lesson that I have learned is that if I do this again, when I do this again, because I am definitely going to be doing the whole 90-day prep, that I'm going to just block off like an entire week on my schedule, just dedicated to creating content. Because I think the hardest part, what I've noticed, is the back and forth. And it's funny because this is something that I teach. I teach batch scheduling and the importance of batch scheduling, because you get to laser in and like focus and not have to like change, what you're thinking about or your creative zone of genius or anything like that. So that has been the hardest part and biggest lesson. So I just recorded 2 videos. I have coaching calls the rest of the day. I was gonna try and squeeze one in, but I know myself enough to know that like between coaching calls, I just gotta take a break. So next time I do this, I'm thinking I'm gonna block off like a week and a half to record podcasts and videos. That feels good. So big lesson for you. Try not to jump back and forth if you can. Obviously, we're gonna get it all done. So we leave tomorrow for our mini vacation with my parents. I'm gonna record a video, maybe 2 in the morning. We'll see how it goes, and then we've got 1 more left. And my husband will be editing this vlog last minute, probably like right before we get on the plane. But that's where we're at. And I will say, I said this in the beginning and I'll say it again, the plan has been essential. Like knowing what I'm going to record every single day, having my notes in there, having it all in ClickUp and the task manager takes so much overwhelm out of the entire process. So I think now that we'll just, change it so we're not going back and forth all the time, it'll be golden. I mean, that's probably why the podcast recording was so easy because it was just, that's all that I did that week. So getting ready for some coaching calls, have to write a bunch of emails, getting excited. We're 2 weeks away from Greece. Oh my gosh. Hello. Well, here we are. It's 3 weeks from when I first recorded or hit record to share about my plan to create 90 days worth of content in just a month. And we did it, which is amazing. And I say we because it's such a team effort. And when I was thinking about like what I wanted to share with you to kind of end this vlog, you know, in true Michelle fashion, there has to be some substance to it. Not only did I want to show you a behind the scenes of what it looked like, if I did it, what the day-to-day was like, but I also want this to be incredibly valuable for you because I think that planning out 90 days worth of content, not just planning it, but actually creating it, is absolutely possible for everyone, whether you have a team or not. And so I wanted to share just a little recap of how I'm feeling after, you know, the past 3 weeks and gearing up for our time ahead. So I think the number one thing that I learned over the last 3 weeks is that when I do this again, because I'm absolutely doing it again, I will block off my calendar for about a week, maybe even a week and a half, to create all of the content. And the reason for this is the going back and forth is possible, but it's really hard. And I've preached about this for a really long time. Since day one, I've talked about batching your content and bulk scheduling things together, like client calls and podcast recordings and interviews and writing content and all of that. But because I was made this decision a little bit later to actually plan out 90 days worth of content rather than taking a break, which was my original plan, to just take a break for a few months while we were in Greece, I already had stuff on my calendar. So it was really, I wasn't going to cancel all of my client calls. So moving forward, what I would do is I would do the whole planning, just like I shared with you in last week's video, where I talk about, you know, choosing your title and your keywords and doing all of that, the dates and getting it all planned. But then based on the number of content that I'm creating or recreating, repurposing, I would then block off time in my schedule. So I plan to do this again. I actually plan to do this every quarter. It's kind of my goal. So I will definitely block off more time. Now, I'm going to give myself a week and a half, but I know that over time that's probably going to get easier and easier. I'll be able to not take as much time. I just found that like on some days when I wanted to record videos, if I would have started a lot earlier in the day, I could have recorded maybe 5 or 6 and then just been done with the day. But I would record videos and then I would do a couple client calls and then I'd go back to record videos. And my husband's like, you are so loopy in this video. You're just tired and you can't focus and there's so much more editing to be done. So that would be like my number one takeaway, is to just dedicate this chunk of time to actually getting it done. I think the other thing that was really important to note is that I've built up to this over the years. And so a lot of this video recording and podcast recording and jotting down notes and quickly hitting, you know, record was easier for me because I've been doing this for a while. And so if I were you, depending on where you're at in your business, what I would recommend doing is starting with 30 days at a time. And, you know, if you're blogging once a week, which I highly recommend, that's just 4 blogs. If you're creating a YouTube video, that's just 4 YouTube videos, 4 podcasts, whatever it is. And that's totally manageable. If you block off a few days, you've done your planning, like all of that stuff is done, it's absolutely, totally possible for you to be able to do that. And so that's what I would start with, and then I would scale, because I'm not gonna lie, 90 days was intense. And we actually ended up reusing a lot of content. In fact, let me get that number for you. Let me write this down. So I ended up recording 15 podcasts. Now, some of these podcasts were solo episodes with me. They ran anywhere between 30 to 45 minutes. And some of them were repurposed live content that I had created. I created that content throughout the month by going live on Instagram. So 15 podcast episodes. And I did that within a week. And that's because I didn't have calls that first week and it was totally manageable. I always block off the first week of the month to create content anyways for the next 30 days. And so I already had that blocked off. So doing those 15 podcasts was like, okay, great. With the videos, I ended up doing 9 new videos, including this vlog, and 4 repurposed videos. Now, I only had originally planned to use 1 repurposed video, primarily because I forgot we hadn't posted the other ones. But when I got really behind and was just really tired and just like needed to take a break, rather than pushing myself and being freaking exhausted, I went back into the archives to figure out what I could repurpose. And so the reason I wanted to share that with you is you always have content. You always have things, if you're creating consistent content, which I highly recommend and we teach over here at Brandmerry, you will always have things that you can repurpose. And I think it's really silly of us as entrepreneurs to think that we always have to create something new. Now, of course, you want to create new content periodically, but if you run into a situation where you're like, man, I've got a crazy busy month, or I don't feel well, I just want to lay on my butt all day, or whatever it is, look in your archives, because I found 4 incredibly valuable videos that I forgot we hadn't posted this year that I got to repurpose, and I will be repurposing over the next few months. So look back, look at old trainings that you have, live videos that you've done. Do you have an interview that you were on somebody else's podcast that you can ask them for permission for the audio? I've done that before. So there's a lot of different things that you can do to create 90 days worth of content without having to create 90 days worth of content. And as I mentioned, I'm doing 2 new pieces every week. So 1 YouTube video and 1 podcast. For most of you, you'll only be doing 1 core piece of content. That's something that I talk about in my repurposing video, which you can check out here if you want to check that out. And so it's totally manageable for you. So again, build up to it, increase a little bit as you go. Shoot, now I'm like, can I do 6 months? Let's see. Let's see if we can do it. And then the last thing that I'll say is always check in with yourself. So I'm a firm believer in building a sustainable business. And for me, sustainability means recurring income, right? Being able to sustain your expenses, pay yourself, build a revenue generating business. But sustainability from a business perspective also means your mental, emotional, and physical sustainability. Can you still show up for your family? Are you constantly exhausted? And you don't want that to be the case. Like, we're doing this, and yeah, you're gonna have to hustle a little bit and work a little bit harder than you normally would to create 90 days worth of content. But you don't want to burn out. That's not the point of it, to be burnt out and then take 90 days off and have to recover from that. No. So you want to check in with yourself a lot. And, I didn't intentionally do it, but when I got, pretty wiped out last week, I was like, all right, let's check in. How can we modify this? You're the CEO, you're the business owner, you're the content creator. If you're like, well, shoot, I'm just going to take a week off, or, it's just not working out, like, always check in with yourself. It's totally fine. And so if you need that permission slip, here it is. Because sometimes I need someone to give it to me. You know what I'm saying? So this was incredibly valuable for me. It was more of just a test to see if I could do it. We did it. So just so you know where we're at now, because I think this is important for transparency. It is officially July 26th. My family and I leave in 1 week for Greece for 3 months. Again, we are there at the time of this release, so be sure to follow us on Instagram, Michelle Knight Code, to see more of our travels. But where we're at right now is all of the content for August is scheduled for YouTube and the podcast. We are currently working through the transcriptions. So as I mentioned in my video last week, once the content is created, I've recorded the podcast, I've recorded the videos. My husband, Ben, who's the multimedia manager at Brandmerry, he edits the podcast and he edits the videos. Once those are completed, they go to Delana for transcription. And I schedule YouTube content because we're still working out a little bit of our processes and stuff. And Delana schedules the podcast. So all the content's created, but like the blog posts and stuff for September won't get completed or scheduled until August, and that's a-okay. And then once we get the transcript done and everything's scheduled, then Kenzie, who does our graphic design, goes ahead and creates the graphics for social media. So you have to figure out what works best for you before you have a team. Maybe you just create all of the content. You record all the podcasts 1 week, and then the next week you start transcribing the blogs, and we use a transcription service called rev.com if you want to check that out. And then you go through and you start scheduling it month to month. That's totally manageable, I think. But you definitely want to see what works well for you. I mean, I think I might want to get to a place where I can get it all done in 1 month. Like, that would be fun, and I'm totally up for the challenge. So I hope this is so valuable for you. I want you to know that creating content doesn't have to be exhausting and overwhelming. It can actually be quite fun. And I have a lot of videos here on my YouTube channel that talk about that. We talk about the art of repurposing. But if you want to take a deeper dive into marketing and how I'm marketing my business, where I'm pushing my content out, how I'm using repurposing, how I'm focusing on attracting my clients and leading them through the consumer buying journey, building that connection, then if you haven't already, I invite you to check out my masterclass. You can go to brandmerry.com/marketing to learn more on how to master your marketing. All right, we are off. We are off for Greece. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll be back with another vlog, I'm sure. Bye.